All right, so get this. Today we're diving into something that's like straight out of science fiction, all right? NotebookLM.
Yeah.
Now I know what you're thinking. Another note-taking app.
Right.
But
Right.
hold on. This is not your grandma's note taker. We're talking AI that can, like, understand and analyze your research like a super smart, I don't know, study buddy.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I mean, what's really fascinating here is that NotebookLM is built on this idea of being source grounded. So, a lot of AI out there, it kind of hallucinates information. Like it makes stuff up, right? But with NotebookLM, every single insight, every summary, everything it tells you is directly tied to what's actually in the documents that you give it.
Okay, so that means no more, like, late-night Wikipedia spirals ending in dubious claims about alien appearance. Like, everything NotebookLM tells me is going to be backed up by hard evidence.
Absolutely. It's like having a built-in fact checker that's constantly cross-referencing everything against your source material, which is huge, especially when you're dealing with, complex research papers or really technical documents.
Okay, so let's say I'm trying to wrap my head around a research paper on, I don't know, the impact of social media on attention spans.
Sure.
Something we can all relate to, right?
Absolutely.
How would NotebookLM actually help me understand that paper?
Well, imagine uploading that paper to NotebookLM. And instead of just highlighting or scribbling notes in the margin, you can actually ask the AI very specific questions about the research. Like, what are the main arguments here? Or what methodology did they use? And it'll give you answers that are directly pulled from the text with citations and everything.
So it's not just summarizing, it's actually analyzing and pulling out the key points.
Exactly.
That's way beyond anything I've ever seen in a note-taking app.
And it gets even more impressive. I mean, NotebookLM can create different levels of summaries depending on how deep you want to go. Like, you could ask for just a simple bullet point overview, or you could dive into like a really detailed analysis of a specific section.
Okay.
It's really like having this research assistant who can kind of tailor their explanations to your exact needs.
That's seriously cool. But I gotta admit, sometimes the most frustrating part of research is just keeping all my notes organized. Like, is that something NotebookLM can help with at all?
Absolutely. Think of it as note-taking on steroids. It's not just about capturing the information, it's about organizing it in a way that makes sense, right?
Right.
So NotebookLM can create these really great summaries, it can highlight key themes, and even group your notes by topic or by argument.
So it's like having the AI organize my thoughts for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I could definitely get used to that.
I think we all could.
But what about those times when you're reading something and a question pops into your head, but you don't even know where to start looking for the answer?
Right. Well, that's where the real magic of NotebookLM comes in. I mean, this thing can actually generate new questions based on the material that you're working with. It's like having a study partner who's constantly kind of pushing you to think deeper and consider different angles.
Wait, so it's not just answering my questions, it's actually prompting me to ask better ones.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm starting to see how this could actually like really change how we approach learning and research.
Oh, absolutely. And it goes even further than that. So, remember how we talked about NotebookLM being source grounded?
Yeah.
Well, that meticulous linking of every single insight back to the original source material also means no more frantic searches for that one elusive quote or statistic. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Tell me about it. I've wasted countless hours digging through like research papers trying to find the exact passage I need.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
So NotebookLM, it basically does all the heavy lifting for me.
Precisely. It's like having this hyper-efficient research assistant who's not only like super organized, but also has this photographic memory for every word in your source material. And this is invaluable for anyone who needs to be precise and accurate with their citations.
Okay.
Whether you're a student, a researcher, even a journalist.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
But let's be real, reading through dense research papers can sometimes feel like a very solitary, even isolating experience. Like, does NotebookLM do anything to make it feel more, I don't know, collaborative?
That's a great question. You hit the nail on the head. One of the most exciting things about NotebookLM is that it doesn't just like present you with information. It encourages you to engage in a conversation, like a real back and forth.
Okay.
So you can ask follow-up questions, you can explore different perspectives, and really dig deep into the material. It's almost like having a conversation with someone who's, an expert on the topic.
There was not just a one-way information dump.
Yeah.
It's more like having a research partner who's always ready to, like, bounce ideas around with.
Exactly.
That's a game changer.
Yeah. And what's truly remarkable is that NotebookLM maintains context throughout that entire conversation. So you can jump back and forth between different points. You can ask clarifying questions. You can really get like a comprehensive understanding of the material. Yeah. It really is like having an ongoing dialogue, not just like a Q&A session.
Right, right.
Which brings us to a question for you, listener.
Oh.
So imagine you have this tool at your fingertips.
Really?
What's the first thing you'd want to throw at NotebookLM? Like what research? What would you want to unpack?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I would want to feed it like something really dense and technical.
Okay.
Like something I've always wanted to understand, but like never had the time to really dig into. Maybe something on like quantum physics.
Yeah.
Or like the origins of the universe.
Sure.
Like the big questions.
Yeah. The big questions, that's the beauty of it, right? It's not just for like students or academics. Anyone with a curious mind can benefit from this kind of AI-powered assistance.
Totally. Speaking of like different applications, haven't there been some pretty amazing real-world examples of how NotebookLM is already being used? I read something about journalists using it to analyze like documents for investigative reporting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there was a case where journalists were actually able to use NotebookLM to sift through thousands of pages of like financial records, and they uncovered this pattern of like suspicious transactions that would be like practically impossible to spot manually.
That's incredible. It's like giving investigative journalists like superpowers.
Yeah, totally.
What other like use cases have you come across?
Well, in the legal field, lawyers are using it to analyze case law and precedents.
Okay.
Which is helping them to, like, build stronger arguments and prepare for trials a lot more efficiently.
That makes sense. Legal documents can be notoriously dense and difficult to navigate.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not just about efficiency, though, right? It's also about, like, uncovering insights that might have been missed otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah. So, for example, in the medical field, there are researchers who are using NotebookLM to analyze like clinical trial data and identify potential correlations between treatments and patient outcomes.
Wow.
Which could lead to breakthroughs in, things like personalized medicine and drug development.
It really feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with this technology.
Yeah.
It's exciting to think about how it could transform like everything from education to scientific discovery.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's not just about, specific industries or professions. I mean, think about how this could impact everyday learning.
Right.
So imagine students being able to use NotebookLM to really like grasp these complex concepts in history, literature, even math.
Yeah.
It could make learning so much more interactive and engaging and just more accessible for everyone.
That's a great point. And it ties back to what we were talking about earlier about, NotebookLM, like fostering this more collaborative approach to learning. It's not just about like passively absorbing information.
Right.
It's about actively engaging with it, asking questions,
Absolutely.
exploring different perspectives.
Yeah, totally. And the beauty of it is it's constantly evolving. Google's continuously adding these new features and refining the algorithms based on user feedback.
That's great. So is it safe to say that this is like still early days for NotebookLM? Like what do you think the future holds for this kind of AI-powered research assistant?
Well, I think we're just at the beginning of like a very exciting journey.
Yeah.
As the technology matures and becomes more sophisticated, I think we're going to see it being integrated into more and more aspects of our lives.
Right.
From how we learn and how we work
Wow.
to how we make decisions and solve problems.
It's almost like having a second brain, or at least a superpowered extension of our own like cognitive abilities. But I gotta admit, some people might be like a little hesitant about handing over so much control to an AI. Like, what would you say to those who are like a little skeptical about this kind of technology?
I think it's important to remember that NotebookLM is a tool.
Okay.
It's not a replacement for human thinking. It's designed to augment our abilities, not supplant them.
So it's not about becoming like overly reliant on the AI. It's about using it as a partner in the learning and research process.
Exactly. It's about, harnessing the power of AI to help us think more critically, analyze information more effectively, and ultimately make, more informed decisions.
Okay.
And in a world that's increasingly overflowing with information, that kind of assistance is becoming more and more valuable.
Yeah, it's like having a guide through the jungle of data, helping us find the most relevant and, insightful information.
Exactly. And who knows what amazing discoveries we might make along the way, right?
It really does feel like a whole new world of possibilities is opening up. And I gotta say, I'm feeling a lot less intimidated by, all the information out there now that we've explored what NotebookLM can do.
Yeah, it's like that feeling of, getting a new tool that makes this really daunting task suddenly feel manageable.
Right.
Remember how overwhelming research used to feel before we had search engines?
Yeah.
This feels like that next leap forward,
So, and it's not just about, making things easier.
Right.
It's about, enabling us to do things we couldn't even imagine before.
Yeah.
Who would have thought you could have a nuanced conversation with a research paper?
Right.
But with NotebookLM, it's almost like the documents themselves come alive.
That's a great way to put it. It's like we're no longer just passively reading.
Right.
We're actively engaging with the knowledge that's contained within these documents.
Yeah.
And in a way that makes the learning process so much richer and more meaningful.
I'm also really struck by how this could, level the playing field when it comes to research.
Yep.
Imagine, giving students, entrepreneurs, anyone really, access to this kind of AI-powered assistance.
Right.
Suddenly, the barriers to entry for, complex research become a lot lower.
That's such an important point. I mean, not everyone has access to top-tier research institutions or these really expensive databases.
Right.
But with tools like NotebookLM, that knowledge becomes democratized. It's like putting a world-class research library in everyone's pocket.
And that's got to be a good thing, right? More people being able to engage with complex information, challenge assumptions,
Yeah.
and contribute to the advancement of knowledge.
Absolutely. It's like we're collectively raising the bar for critical thinking and intellectual curiosity.
Yeah.
And who knows what kind of breakthroughs we'll see as a result, right? Maybe we'll finally solve that pesky climate change problem.
Right.
Or unlock the secrets of the human brain.
Or maybe we'll all just become a little bit smarter and more informed citizens.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a win.
I think that's a pretty good outcome too. And it all starts with, embracing these new tools and exploring the possibilities that they offer.
Well said. So for anyone listening who's feeling curious or maybe even a little bit adventurous,
Yeah.
I encourage you to dive into the world of NotebookLM and see where it takes you. You might just be surprised by what you discover.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into NotebookLM.
Okay.
We hope you found it insightful, engaging,
Yeah.
and maybe even a little bit mind-blowing.
A little bit mind-blowing, for sure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
The future of learning is bright.
Yes, it is.
And it's waiting for us to discover it.
Absolutely.